Okay, so we were originally going to call this episode in our planning doc, How to Set Your Business on Autopilot for the Holidays. But when we came to scripting, and I was like, Rachel, we're not doing that because I'm not feeling the autopilot vibes. I just got back from a business retreat, or it was actually like a money retreat. So I'm very energized to make more money and to call in abundance. And I'm not really feeling autopilot. I'm feeling like locked in.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I'm sensing this across like the communities that I'm in and all of the different like people that I talk to in the business space. Honestly, I think my projects got delayed so hard that like I'm in the still build and like release stage of my year. This year went by so fast that I feel like I didn't even realize it was Q4 already. So I think a lot of people are going to be in this space where we're like, no, 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 no. What do you mean pull back and relax? That's still important. And we're going to talk about how you can do both. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see the energy of people's businesses in Q4, which is typically a quiet time for everybody.
Yeah. Typically, I'm like, I'm going to get all cozy on the couch and not do anything and take the last 2 weeks off. That is not the energy I'm feeling. But with all things we do it in balance. So we're going to be talking about how to lock in and not burn yourself out. So just getting into our first mindset shift or idea of how to do this that we've been kind of utilizing is we don't need to necessarily create anything new. It's more about revisiting and going back and optimizing what you already have. So, for example, this podcast, it is almost in its 100th episode. This is episode 99, as crazy as that may seem. And we hadn't really gone back and visited like any of like the fundamental basics of that in a while. And we went back and we had learned so much since we originally started this podcast and shifted so much and became even more grounded in like who we are and what we offer and what we want to share that our title, our description, all of that sort of stuff wasn't resonating anymore. And it definitely wasn't optimized for SEO now that I know as much as I know about SEO. So that was one of the things we went back and did and started focusing on. And like we're already kind of seeing like a uptick in episode downloads. So it just goes to show you don't have to create new to bring in more. You may just need to focus on refining what you already have.
Yeah, and I'll even pose this from the offer side of things. Like a lot of people get really in their mindset of like, how come things aren't going as well as they need to do, or whatever the case may be. And I just had a strategy call with my business mentor, and she called out some very obvious gaps in my existing products that I was like, oh, duh, where all I need to do is just go in, reposition a little bit, really refine and like clarify some things in order for the next like boom in that existing thing to take off. And so I think that that's a good reminder to look at. We do not need another product. We do not need to create a whole new funnel, a whole new this, a whole new that. Sometimes it's really just looking at it from a data perspective. And actually, I have a new blog post that we can link in the show notes where I was talking about the 3 habits for sustainable conversions. And the very first thing I say in it is talking about looking at your numbers. Like you cannot improve what you do not measure. And this is one of those things where if you're looking at things with the little experimental mind, your little scientist brain, you have to be able to look at it from variation 1 to variation 2 rather than starting from scratch, because starting from scratch is where you're starting with absolutely no data, and it's such a harder hill to climb.
Yes. And that being said, moving into mindset number 2, like it doesn't mean you can't create anything new. If you are feeling that spark to create something new, then do it. Because especially if you're like me, if you're a manifesting generator, you kind of have to have your energy all over the place or you're going to burn out. I was actually chatting, I was looking through my notes because I was chatting through with Chat GPT about this the other day about like what is like a manifesting generator's ideal like workflow ratio. And it basically told me is that I need to have like at least 20% of my time dedicated to like a wildflower project that's like a creative expansion, something that's not necessarily bringing me in revenue right now and it might never bring it in, but just like a way to like play. So I've been really into Lovable. I think I've mentioned it before, which is basically like an app that you chat with and it allows you to code websites and apps. So we're redoing our 1 hour content system that we have to be built into this app because by using this tool, like we're able to kind of cut out some of the steps. We're all about optimization here. So it's going to like upload it and automatically transcribe it and then break it down into different formats. And then you're going to be able to break it down into different platforms and it's all going to be one in place. And hopefully it's even going to be allow you to schedule from that one place. But anyways, that's just like one of like the creative things that I have noticed that I needed to do. Now that's the 20% of that time is like outside of my normal working hours right now. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but like sometimes I felt like in the past I would hold myself back because I had this whole idea of like, oh, I need to be balanced and I need to like, not, we've talked about this before. Like I was pursuing balance so much that like I was shifting myself off balance because I actually do need that time to like explore and get creative.
So it's really funny that you mentioned the whole manifesting generator thing because I was literally probably about a week or so ago chatting with my chat GPT, asking it to combine astrology, human design, and gene keys to help me understand like how to approach business a little bit more. And it made me miss the days where that was like the big boom and how to like shift your business and do all of these things. What was hilarious is that my conversation, like the thread, it was completely inaccurate. Like, I gave it my date of birth, time of birth, location, and it gave me my wrong like, it was, like, the wrong star, like, signs, my big 3 was completely off. So I was questioning every single thing in there. So just a little side tangent that sometimes the people who are studying and, like, fully immersed in these things are a better resource than a ChatGPT thread.
Yeah, I told it I was a manifesting generator, so he knew what we were working with. All right, anything to add on creating new? I mean, you just did create new, so
I created new and I am still in the new energy of it. So I'm shifting a few things. I have a new lead magnet coming out or a transitioned lead magnet from my existing one. But I really like I've never been a create new kind of person. I've really like stayed tried and true in what I know works. So this new phase of creating this kind of like external brain of how I execute my clients' strategies like in a product versus like me being in a retainer, this whole new phase for me, like I'm ready to get out of it. Like I'm not like Jess where I want to create new, new, new. I want to get to my comfort where I know exactly what works and what doesn't work. So this experimental phase for me with the email first essentials is hard.
okay, so this moral of the story is here, trust your energy, optimize what you have if that's working for you, but also if there is a spark, just follow it because you never know where it might lead. Okay, moving into mindset. I guess this is like 2 because that was like a 1.5. I have been going back to like not making business harder than it needs to be. I think we've all done things in our business that has worked for us. And for some reason we stopped and we're like, oh, why are we getting those results anymore? It's like, well, you're not sending out 20 pitches, a week or a month or whatever. One of the things in the spirit of optimization, like since I've refined that process, I know it works. Like I created a system for my VA to do it for me now, but like just reflecting back on what has worked for you in the past and if you stop doing something and it had worked, maybe you didn't even notice it, going back to do that again.
Oh my gosh. It's like it's wild. Like, let me just have like a little side conversation with myself here. It's wild how aligned Jess and I are. This is our first time we're talking this week. Like, we've slacked back and forth, but like, this is the first time we're like having a conversation. This is everything I put in my book. Literally, like, oh my gosh. Like, did you read that?
No, I didn't. Sorry. I got your email. I didn't open it yet.
Rude. I'm just kidding. So no, literally, like I talked about the great like scaling it back like phase that we had a couple of years ago where people were building these super complex systems and really like simple scales. Simple is strategic and really like honing into like what you know works is so powerful for your business. And there's a lot of people that have to learn that the hard way of really trying to do all of these 100 different things, but coming back and staying with what we know works, like not trying to completely shift your clients like buying behavior by saying, "Hey, I'm not doing discovery calls anymore. Like everybody just spend thousands of dollars with me from the get." Like that's not what we know works. So we go back to, like Jess said, pitching, networking, events. We know the things that have helped you get clients in the past. If you have reflected back on your lead sources, you've gotten clarity on what your conversions even look like. These are the things that are really, I think, the most impactful for business to stay sustainable, but also like consistently converting.
Yeah, I think it's important, and I love the way that my ChatGPT, like, broke my time down. It's like, "Okay, you're gonna do, like, 60% of, like, what you know already works, but then, like, 20% you can kind of experiment, and then as you kinda shift into that, like, it's more of a flow and not, like, so much of a hard pivot." Yes.
Totally. So, mindset shift number 3 is really not looking for more motivation, but finding some type of collaboration or accountability person to tap into movement with or moving forward in business with speed, with that accountability. Like I use Jess and I as like the perfect example. Like we work together on some projects, but a lot of the times, like when I get on this call and we give each other a little business update, like it is me saying, "Hey, hold me accountable. Like help me make sure that I execute." Like all of these things because there's so much magic in like having somebody like in it with you. And as a solopreneur and somebody who maybe just has a small team that are all virtual like assistants and not really somebody that's like at your level, it can make the world of a difference by having somebody just like move things forward with you. You know what I mean? I don't know. What's your
I am
hot
I'm
take?
discovering this is more and more as like an ADHD entrepreneur, like an essential for me and not just like a nice to have. I think that I probably could have learned this a lot faster if I just like reflected on like me in corporate. Like in corporate, I really love to have like a peer team that I was almost like competing with. And I love to have like a boss and I love to get recognition. And when you become an entrepreneur, like you don't have any of that anymore naturally. So you have to kind of like build it for you. So I've noticed over time that projects that I do with people tend to move forward faster and
Yeah.
have better results. So, for example, this podcast, would I have ever gotten to 100 episodes by myself? Heck no. I can be more explicit. I can say, hell no. Hell no. Hell no, I would have gotten to episode 14 probably and quit. But because I'm doing it with Rachel, like I have motivation to show up every time. I've also noticed, and I'm kind of taking that like as my marching orders going forward. I'm not trying to do anything by myself. So in my own business, I've got a VA where she's doing it with me. Got Rachel for the podcast. I've got another project going on where I'm like partnering with another dietitian to build a app with her together. I just like get really more excited about these projects that I
Yeah.
do with other people. And that also maybe look like hiring a coach. I've never done that. Probably need to do that if I have recognized in myself that this is something that needs to happen for me. But I know you've worked with a coach, Rachel. So how has
Yeah.
like that impacted you?
It's really just like depends on the style of the coach, right? Like, is it a collaborative experience or is it somebody just being like, you can do it? Like, that's not helpful for me. I've spent thousands of a person who had that style. And I was like, this is such a waste of my time. Like, I could have done this. I could have put a sticky note up and this would have been more motivational. So having a coach that is like, no, you need to shift this, like be more like hands-on and like critical of what I need to like break apart and being somebody that's like, I need somebody that's going to tell me like straight up, like tactical things. I have leaps and bounds of progress from working with Ashley at the Doers, and I'll link her information in the show notes because she has evolved my business in so many different ways, just personally as like who I exist in my business, but also like in my offers, in my pricing, in my messaging, like so evolutionary for my business. So you got to just find the right person. I have been in Ashley's space, I think, for 2 plus 3 years now. never looking back. I'm never spending in another investment anywhere else because the coaches I've worked with, and she's not even a coach, she's just a mentor, but like the coaches I've worked with before, scams.
Scammed. I know. I think that's
Right.
why I haven't. It's taken me so long to like jump into that fully. But anyway, so I have learned I don't need more motivation. I need more collaboration. So moving into mindset number 4, my energy and my time is worth protecting. So recently I have noticed a lot of things that I am not so good at in my business: taxes, money, following up with emails, making sure invoices get like these things just like they drain me. I'm not good at them. I don't like looking at them. So I but if I don't do them, it costs me a lot of money. Speaking from experience here. So I've decided like it's in more worth investing, like using the profits that I do have and investing in somebody to kind of handle that for me. So I brought on a tax strategist. I have a money kind of like budgeting coach now. And I've got my VA who's helping me like make sure that everyone actually like gets invoiced and all of those things.
Yeah, I will use the massive rebuild in my business as proof to this exact statement because after I came back from maternity leave, I had a handful of clients still that I worked in their business every single week. And it was really removing me from this new chapter of my life, which is motherhood and having to, like, protect and raise a little tiny human and making sure that like I was full on the verge of burnout on top of postpartum hormones. So like honoring your energy is what led me to saying, you know what, I'm holding on to these couple of retainers that I know will I can protect my energy because systems and strategies and all of this. I'm not taking any new ones and I'm reshifting my business and how it's doing. That is how you kind of like shift in a way that is like so intentional because going into Q4, if I would have held, well, I did do Q4 last year postpartum with all of the clients. I couldn't even sit down and enjoy my holidays because of how chaotic my business was and all of that. So really making sure that like you're acknowledging balance in your business or else it will literally come and bite you in the butt, which I had to deal with head on, which is hello, my new business model.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is about self-awareness. I know sometimes we're so busy in our business that we don't like stick our head up to like, how is this affecting me? One of the things that I love to do, why I love to track my task, is that I can look through like at the end of the day and be like, hey, these are all the things that I did today, and I feel really drained. Like, what is the issue here? And then the next step becomes like, how can I get this off my plate if it's like super draining my energy? So I highly recommend just doing a audit, outsourcing what you don't need anymore. It might cost you a little more money up front, but I promise like tenfold that energy is going to come back. You're going to be able to redirect it to something else and make more money. All right.
Complete.
Wrap us up, Rachel.
All right, let's go through some of the mindset shifts that we had talked about for maintaining momentum and locking in for the rest of the year. Is one is not creating new, but really focusing on refinement, optimization, and evolving what currently exists. And that really brings us to the second one, which is knowing what works. When you start with something new, it's really hard to know what works. So these two go hand in hand together by saying, I'm going to optimize this, but I'm going to look at what's working and I'm going to help those two paths like blend together. And then if you want on the side to create something new, don't make it your whole profit spread. Allow it to have its space and be your creative outlet, but still work with what's working, shifting what you have data on, and all of that. And then third is acknowledging sometimes you just need somebody to do things with and finding a biz bestie. Jess and I are always open for more biz besties. So if you want to drop in our DMs, we're always looking to like do co-working or whatever the case may be, like collaboration is the name of our game. So if you need somebody to look no further, we're here. Just come and say hi to us. Then lastly is honoring your energy, especially as we come into the holiday season. If you're on the social media side and you're dealing with Black Friday campaigns or email side and dealing with Black Friday campaigns or even operations side. Acknowledge your energy because we are here living life first businesses as well. And we really want to make sure that we have enough of us to exist while we're trying to spend time in the holidays. So I think that's everything.
Yeah. So we encourage you to pick one shift, whether it be optimizing something you already created or going back to something that's working, calling up a collab partner or cutting out a task or delegating something that's draining you. Do it. Give yourself more space so that you can lock in for the holidays. Let us know, like, in the DMs, like, what is your energy? What's like shift? How are you feeling going into the new year? Drop it in the DMs. We're at Deeply Rooted Business on Instagram, or comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. And if this episode resonated with you, share it with a business bestie because we love growing our community. And make sure that you tune in next week. We don't know what we're talking about yet because we haven't done our cue for planning, but it's going to be good. And so until next week,
We're
we're rooting
rooting
for
for you.
you.